You guys talk about podcast. Either that or there's a spider in his room and he didn't have the blood-curdling scream, but nonetheless, if we do, I guess we'll hear from him.
And the killing machine that is Ethan when it comes to taking out spiders.
Yeah, he's a killing machine. He's a bracket-winning machine.
Like it, so. My fiance doesn't
I heard
spiders,
something.
So I'm the person that gets to kill him every single time.
Welcome to a relationship in America.
Are you are you one that's afraid of spiders?
It's just a great combo.
Yeah.
Say what?
Are you one that's afraid of spiders, or were you ever afraid of spiders?
Not really.
No. Okay.
I'll just kill
that makes
him.
it a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't trying to pet him. I'll tell you that. I'm just gonna kill him.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It's the same thing like with like mice. Not afraid of them. I'm just gonna kill them. You know, I don't like them.
It's so funny you bring that up. We were upstairs having dinner. Was it maybe Sunday night? And there's like toy mice upstairs. And Hannah goes, "What's Hank playing with?" I was like, "A mouse." "A real one," and just like freaked the F out.
A real one.
And I just stared at her like, "Are you dumb?" Like, no. Like, oh, and then there's another mouse story actually. I'll tell you that one later. That one's a little bit longer.
Nice.
Okay.
Dude, Hank is going.
Well, we can save it for the end of the
over there.
Yeah, I don't know what he wants. He wants outside. He's by the sliding door.
He wants to be an outside cat. I think you should. No, never mind. No.
That's because cats are killing machines. Hey. They are meant to be outside animals, realistically.
So we are gonna get him like a stroller and take him on a walk. Like you can put it.
God's sakes!
It was not my idea.
Oh, did I just hear Hannah say actually it was?
I heard it. Good job, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
I gave her the idea. She's the one that wants to buy it. So,
but you planted the idea. You put the seed in the ground.
I'm a smart person. Just look at my bracket.
Fair.
Yeah,
he is a winner.
What a
he is a
transition.
winner chicken dinner.
So how do we got to prolong this a little bit? Eat Grant. So on Sunday, history was made in hockey, and we are not hockey experts if we have to pinpoint 2-1, even though Ethan was at a hockey game on Sunday.
I certainly was.
If people are tuning in to watch Ethan and I give talk about why the Wild's power play sucks, we are not the people to do that.
Don't even get me started.
But out in New York, Alexander Ovechkin, the man himself, broke Gretzky's all-time scoring record. He scored 895 goals. Is that correct, Grant?
Yeah.
895?
Yep.
895. A record that many people didn't think was ever going to be broken. I believe back in in the early 2010s, John Butchergrass did post that if there's one person that's going to have a shot at breaking that record, it would have been Ovi. And didn't see it live, but kind of saw it on social media after, which is incredible. And anytime something like that happens, we have to discuss it a little bit here, not our very green takes. And Grant, I'll let you go on that. Did you get to watch any of that game, or what? And what are your thoughts on Ovi breaking the record?
So to answer your first question, no, wasn't able to watch it. I saw the highlight on social media. But it was a very, very Ovechkin-like. He was on the left side of the ice on a power play, and he just had a ripper that went right past the New York Islanders goaltender. So it was very fitting the way he scored that, because it was very on brand. And the cool part was, if you ask me, he did it in the same amount of games as Gretzky. Was it like 1487?
I don't know. I bet you though too. The other thing is that Ovi, his record or Gretzky's record, he didn't have to deal with a fully shortened season because his rookie year was the lockout year where they didn't play when he was the number 1 overall pick, and then they also had another year, a shortened season. You could also throw in a COVID year as well. So
yeah, where that shut it down too. Yeah. So
very impressive.
It's very impressive, and you can't take it away because it's not like it's an NFL record where. If you break the single season rushing record this year, like if Saquon did it, you did that in 17 games compared to Eric Dickerson's 16 games. like the total games throughout both of their careers, it was the same at 1487. So that's just marvelous and cool itself. And and also to come back, he fractured his ankle earlier this year, guys, and missed, I want to say 20 games.
Yeah.
So, he's almost 38, 40 years old, coming off a fractured ankle, and to come back and just be on just an absolute heater on, I believe, the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. So he's not doing this in meaningless games for a team who's not going to be playing in the playoffs. He's not like he's doing it for the Utah Hockey Club or hockey team, whatever the hell you want to call them. Like, these are meaningful games. The team is going to be playing in the playoffs here in a couple of weeks. So it's just super cool. And it's cool we were able to see something like this for us. Like, you hear guys talk about Jordan, and Gretzky and, Reggie Jackson, Mr. October back in the day. But now, like, we were able to see this, like, watch his whole career. So that is kind of cool. Like, one of these living icons, add him into the Bradys, LeBrons, the Stephs, and, the Randy Mosses of Tigers, the athletes we were able to see to accomplish crazy things.
Where does he?
They didn't show the replay on the video board at the Wild game, but they announced it, and the crowd just went absolutely nuts. So I think it also goes to show how likable Ovechkin is too. I don't know if you guys saw it. I think it was they played here like a week and a half ago or so. After the game, the players started going back to their tunnel and everything. Ovechkin called them back out to shake Marc-Andre Fleury's hand because they knew it's probably gonna be the last time he faces them. But yeah, he pulled the whole team out to go shake his hand. So and also just shows how good of a human he is.
Another thing that was cool is I think it was earlier last week, he had an opportunity to break the record on an empty netter, and he passed it to a teammate. He said, "No, if we're going to make history, I want to make sure it counts and it's against a legit goaltender during a meaningful game." So I think that's also cool.
Really
and just shows the competitor that he is. He wasn't going to break a record that we thought was untouchable on some chintzy.
Well, I think that's the cool thing about hockey is that everybody in the NHL, they seem to have a great respect for the people that came before them, that you don't always see, especially, to talk about like the NBA where they're calling guys plumbers, the Lakers head coach saying that the 50s was ran by plumbers and garbage men. And you don't see that in the NHL where it was always a big deal. Gretzky was in the house to watch it happen, was the first one to congratulate him. And the other part too, like you said, Ethan, to piggyback off of you about what type of guy he is, it's cool that he did it all in one spot in a year, in the era of maneuverability, players getting traded. He's doing contracts. Did it all for the Capitals. And when you watch him play, like I'm not going to sit here and say that I watch Capitals goals, but since he's broken that record, I've, a lot of my TikTok has been Alexander Ovechkin. It's been him before he runs out onto the ice where the entire team is singing Bands Make Her Dance. And then it goes into his highlight, just how hard he plays. And that every time he scores a goal, it is like the first goal he's ever scored. He's got that youthful exuberance, that excitement that you can tell he just loves playing the game, and really he doesn't take what he has. He doesn't take it for granted. He truly soaking up every second. And I mean, when you look at the guy, I did not realize how much he's aged over the last few years.
Oh yeah.
Because he is gray.
Mm-hmm.
And to be playing at that high of a level at 40.
Walking in his suit, that dude has the ultimate dad bod. Like, it's fantastic.
It's crazy. Guys like him, Tom Brady, we'll throw in Pat Mahomes, Luka. They're out there doing stuff for the dad bod. Like, you can be an elite level athlete, and you don't have to look like LeBron James.
Yeah.
You can be just an average Joe, but have a love and a passion for the game with an incredible skill set that none of us have. And that only 0.0001% of the population do, and go out there and dominate.
I didn't realize, like, I know they're on ice skates and stuff, so add like 3-4 inches to each of them. Those guys are freaking huge. Like when you get up on the glass and actually see, my God.
Yeah, they're big.
As soon as they came out, Huxton goes, those guys are giants. And he was just blown away.
Yeah, they're freaking big people.
Well, have you looked at UND's new head coach? UND's head coach that they just hired, Dane Jackson. If you've ever seen him, he was on Dom Izzo's show, and it was like he's just got like a defined chin line. He's just got shoulders, boulders for shoulders, if you will. Just big dudes that I would not want to get in a fight with.
Mm-mm. And also, if I could just add something real quick, I'm happy for Ovechkin, but also I'm happy for other Russian athletes out there that they could get this moment. In this aspect, the way some of these Russian athletes have been treated these last 3 years, if you ask me, is not fair. The country of Russia, which has probably the best hockey team in the world, let's call a spade, was not allowed in the Four Nations because their leader is on a psychotic break, invading another country. And it's not fair that we're taking away from some of these athletes who had nothing to do with that. So good for him and those Russian athletes to get some positive news that they're not getting shit on by the free world here in the United States for something that they are not a part of and they don't agree with.
Yeah, I hope they're able to do the Olympics next year.
And they should. That's if someone asks me a hot take sports opinion besides Barry Bonds belonging in the Hall of Fame, Russian athletes, if you can pass an Olympic drug test, should be allowed to compete. In the Olympics. And it's criminal that they can't because of something their leadership did. It's criminal.
They have no say over it. Most of them are like, we don't want people to die.
Correct.
So, well, that's a good transition here. Now we get to let Ethan gloat because the Florida Gators are national champions. Ethan is the 2025 Three Guys Talking Ball podcast bracket challenge champion. And the prize is I'm buying Ethan a dinner at his bachelor party, which is less than 3 weeks away, or about 3 weeks away, give or take.
And I'll get him one too, just to be fair, because you guys get my dinner at Fogo.
Too kind.
Grant, the man of the people.
Hey, so you know what? The inaugural one, you guys split the dinner at Fogo. Dylan can buy Ethan one. I can buy Ethan one.
There it is.
Oh, that's too kind.
He's got two of his meals covered here. So
dominated too much this year.
Dominated too much, he says. Well, I mean, the Twins baseball season might be humbling for you the way if things don't change. But
there won't be a lot of fun summer nights at Target Field, unfortunately, if it keeps going like this.
And maybe did the Wolves blowing a 24-point lead, did that bring you give you a little bit of humble pie last night too, or are you still on cloud 9?
I would say so. I'll tell Chris Finch, be careful. Mike Malone is on the market. Who hired Mike Malone? I am quite sure it was Tim Connolly. I am quite positive.
I never thought about
I would just tread
that.
I would tread.
I was thinking about that today, actually.
I never thought about that.
It could get interesting because you also have new owners. They are not. They like Finch. They are not tied to Finch.
And the new owners aren't either.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And also, who's the team that gave the Nuggets the most trouble in the last 5 to 6 years?
He quite literally built a team to beat the Nuggets.
Tim
Nuggets. Connolly.
Ooh, and now that De'Aaron Fox is away from Sacramento, that's not an ideal landing spot. Mm-mm. Unless Pop's going to return to San Antonio.
Someone said he could go be waiting to be the next coach of the Spurs, but he's too good. Go be a coach now. Come be the Wolves.
He's too good to sit out. And
he's a better coach than Finch.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, if not even close.
Call me. Milwaukee should fire Doc Rivers and hire this guy. Well, you could
argue that the Bucks should have never fired Budenholzer. I mean, that guy won an NBA title. Like, there's three coaches there's only three coaches in the NBA right now that have lasted longer than 5 years.
God, that's crazy.
Chris Finch is like the 6th or 7th longest tenured or something like that now. But I just don't get like the timing of it. Like, it just 4 games left in the season. If you're going to fire him, who the hell cares at that point? Just go to the end of the year.
And they said it was something to do with, or I've seen reports now that the GM and Malone weren't talking, so they just decided to get rid of both of them.
Get rid of the GM and keep the coach.
Understand it.
Yeah. Oh, well. But, well, it was the same thing with which the Grizzlies probably should have fired Taylor Jenkins last year.
Well, but I was listening to some guy on Barrero yesterday, and he was saying even though, like, the Cronkies own the team, they're cheap as crap with it. Like, they won't pay a lot of people. Like, yeah, they paid Jokic, they paid Murray, but then, like, all the role players that won them that title,
they're all gone.
They didn't pay any of those guys. They're gone. Like, when Christian Braun is your number 4, number 5 scorer, that's a problem. That's not going to go well.
Yeah.
But back to college basketball. Well, I guess we'll just kind of talk briefly about Auburn. I mean, all 3 Final Four games were incredible. It was the first time since 2019 that all 3 games were good and delivered, where they were tight, closely contested games. The last few years, last year, there were no good games. 2 years ago, there was 1. 22, there was 2. 21, there was 1. And then 20, there wasn't 1. And then 19, we had all 3 that came down to the wire, were hotly contested. The Auburn-Florida one, it was best way to describe that was Florida just never quit. And, I mean, that was a theme throughout the tournament, especially their last 3 games that they played where they were down 10, down – I can't remember how much down. I think they were down 10 against Auburn as well. And –
yeah, 9 or 10, yeah.
I think it was 9.
In the end, Florida –
I think so.
Florida just – I think it looked like they just wore Auburn down, because at the end of that game, if you watch Auburn, they had no energy, especially Jeremiah Broome. He just disappeared for the last 10 minutes of the game, and I think part of that had to do with some of his injury, but he just was never able to he just looked tired and just kind of was an afterthought for Auburn.
I said it before the Final Four. They have the depth, and like kind of going right into what you're saying, Auburn was tired. Like, they couldn't go with these guys for 40 minutes. Like, it was just they have 4 bigs that they can go to at any point and feel comfortable. I don't know another team in the country that can do that without really having like a steep drop off. And that's the big thing. Like, their guards are going to do well. They have about their 4 guards that they play. That's normal. But it's the horses underneath that are constantly going to be pushing on you, fouling you. Just they're physical. Like Ochenwu or whatever. Like, that dude is jacked. Like, I would not want to bounce with him for 20 minutes around. Like, that would be painful.
It looks like he should be playing defensive end for the football team.
Yes, like, he is not built like a basketball player. Chinulu, that's what his name was. But yeah, I can see why they're tired when you're banging with those guys for 40 minutes. Yeah, you're gonna get exhausted.
It's like I said,
banging with dudes is exhausting. Yes.
Hey, just
I've
ask
never
Charles.
Tried, but I'm
just ask Charles
for it.
Just ask Charles Barkley.
That dude was going through it.
Oh, dude, not only did he have Auburn because he's an alma mater there, you can't tell me he didn't have $50,000 on them winning the title. Those facial expressions,
he definitely did.
You could just tell that dude had some serious money on the line right there, and he knew it was gone.
It was it certainly wasn't to pay the big women in San Antonio.
No,
it might have been the big money. He would have used that money for all the churros, but
yeah. How does he eat a churro? Hum. But no, dude, like, Ethan, I compared this Florida team to this Baylor team that won the title 4 years ago. They were just big, and like you said, they were just so physical. They just wore you down. And you look at Auburn without Broome, I don't think that team had a closer. And it showed, because when their legs were tired and they couldn't get their jump shots anymore, that's when they slowly blew that lead, and they didn't belong in the gym with Florida anymore.
Was it Jones? Is that number 2?
Yeah.
Martin had him on lockdown all night. Mm-hmm. Like, he did nothing.
And speaking of teams that didn't want the ball, we can talk about Duke Houston, because about the last 10-minute mark, it was and it was kind of a theme when you look back at Duke's season is they had, you look at it against Arizona, you look at it against where they struggled. Wow, did my voice crack there? Where they really struggled to close out teams, but they just had enough sizable lead to where they were, and just more superior talented than other teams to where they were able to get through it. But with Houston, when Duke had those good looks, those final 10 minutes, and I shouldn't say good, they were passing up good looks to get great shots, and nobody took it. They all just were like, no, I'm good. I don't want to shoot it. And that really is what allowed Houston to get back into the game. And then Houston's full court pressure, Duke not having a true point guard, also came back to bite them because they couldn't get anybody. They couldn't inbound the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was probably the last 10 minutes or so was probably the best defense I've ever seen in college basketball. Like that's why I picked Houston, and literally their defense is the only reason they won that game, to be completely honest. You can say, yeah, Duke blew it, whatever. They were forcing so many turnovers at the end, tough shots. Getting every loose ball for the past 10 minutes is like so hard to do. And they've closed games. They've been there. You could tell, like you said, Dylan, they've never been there. They haven't closed games well throughout the whole year. In the ACC, you get away with it with maybe one loss, a.k.a. Clemson. But they just didn't have it, and their sets at the end. It was the exact same play that Shire had ran like 3 or 4 times in the exact 4 games that they lost. They knew exactly what was coming. Like you could tell, not Thompson. No, I was thinking of Thompson. 13, can't remember his name right now. Roberts. He knew exactly where he was going, and he was waiting for it. Like there was no way Flag was going to get a clean look there.
And like that's one thing I don't understand. Like sure, he's a special athlete and he has potential to be a great player someday, but you're going to put the ball in the hands of an 18-year-old. You're going to isolate him against a grown-ass man who's played 149 games in college. He spent 5 years in a college weight room program, and he's an adult. And you're gonna tell this 18-year-old kid to go beat him one-on-one when Cooper Flag and Duke is exhausted, and Houston's playing some of the best defense in the world. And nothing gives you more energy in the world than when you're playing good defense and you're shutting a team down. And you can see that they no longer have the will to be on the basketball court anymore. And there was going to be no separation allowed there anyway. So like you said, Ethan, it was just a horrible look. And a grown man going up against a little boy, and the adult won. And this also proves building your team with a bunch of stud freshmen and having a great recruiting class doesn't win you anything. In the last 12 years, what have we had? One team like that win the national championship?
And it was Tyus.
Well, 2, and then it'd be 2.
Oh, sorry, I guess 2.
Because Kentucky.
Yeah. But Duke, they had a senior on that team that did help propel them. What?
Gillis? Or are you talking the last time?
Oh, on Tyus' team. Who wasn't? They had an adult in the room there. That kind of, I cannot remember who it was, but
I can't remember his name.
Besides the point, in the last 13, 15
years. They had
a
Plumlee on that team, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, they did have a Plumlee. Yeah, was it Cook? He was played for the Warriors.
Yeah, it was. It was Quinn Cook. Yep.
It was Quinn Cook.
That makes sense.
They had at least one adult in that room. So in the last 15 tournaments, let's load this team up with a bunch of stud freshmen. It doesn't win you anything because at the end of the day,
like you said, not having
adults.
A point guard. Proctor's a great combo. He's not a pure point guard, and that's what they needed. Like he can spot up, he can shoot. He cannot facilitate an offense for you the whole game. It's just not his game.
And what do they always say, gentlemen? Point guards win in March.
Yep.
And you know
there's a reason LJ Cryer was the Final Four MVP like 3 years ago.
3 years ago, exactly.
Not a secret. Like he's freaking good.
So Ethan, you talked about the turnovers with Duke. So I was taking notes during this game, and at the under 12 with 11 minutes to go, Duke hadn't committed a turnover in 20 minutes of game action at that point. And then as I looked down, I said Houston could has a chance if they get it to 8 at the under 8, and then they were able to get it to 5 at 5, and they were still up by 6 with 30 seconds to go, and they had a technical called on them, and they still found a way to win this game. And I thought Kelvin Sampson's quote at the end of this game was fantastic, is no one loses at anything if they don't quit. And that team never quit. They held Duke to one field goal, the final 10:30 of the game. And that grit, that toughness, that experience, better play. And they started to win those 50-50 balls, because if you watching that game, probably the first 30 minutes of the game, it felt like any hustle play, any offensive rebound, Duke was winning. We're winning those 50-50 battles. Final 10 minutes, Houston was able to, LJ Cryer 6 of 9 from 3, nice. And that was kind of my X factor in the game, was because I didn't think Cryer was going to be able to, just because of the way Duke was able to D up Marcus Spears, because he was short, and Cryer, they just kept hitting big shots, and they never went away. And even throughout the game, as much as Duke was in the lead, it still never felt like they had a good handle on that game. It felt like Houston would find ways to cut it, and then Duke would answer. Because I think I had like 3 times in here my notes where it was like, oh, that feels like a dagger. Oh, technical, that feels like a dagger. Oh, that feels like a dagger. And it just, they kept pulling her out.
And also, like Ethan said,
they're just like Florida. You never think they're out.
And it just, it comes down to, over this course of this year, playing the competition that both of these teams played in their conferences. They built them up for this moment. Duke in the ACC, probably the worst conference in college basketball this year. They just blew through they beat the brakes off everyone. Well, when you're playing in the SEC and the Big 12, when you're playing legit teams every single night, there is no off night. So you're mentally tougher than Duke. And also, your conditioning level is at such a higher moment. You're not going to get tired. You're not going to make those mistakes at the end of the game. And Dylan, you mentioned all those 50-50 balls in the last 10 minutes. That's because Houston just had more energy than Duke did. Duke was tired. You looked at that Duke team, I could tell they were physically tired. They weren't used to playing a game this long, and they weren't used to the competition and the physicality and the tough defense that Houston played. So the whole
have
year
you ever
of
watched
the battles
Houston's
in the Big 12
too?
I can only imagine how tough they are. Like watching
because they were showing clips of like where they're like diving, like they have a drill where they'll just roll the ball out. And it's 2 guys going at it and to see who gets possession. Like that's the level of and watching Houston, it's like watching football on the hardwood because of just how physical they play. And when we're going to get to this championship game here in a little bit, but like my heart breaks for a guy like a Kelvin Sampson, who's 71 years old, got a absolutely raw deal at Indiana. And anywhere the guy has gone, he's won. He just hasn't quite been able to get it over the hump. And I guess we can just kind of transition into the championship game since we're on it. But he's been a hell of a coach anywhere he's went. He's got Oklahoma to the Final Four. Indiana, he was 22-4 before they fired him in this second season, and then goes to Houston. And I didn't realize this until I started looking up Houston's seasons. They hadn't before he got there. And then in 2018 was their first tournament win in 34 years. Which, I mean, this is
they were not good.
When you think of Houston, you think of, and we weren't old enough, but our parents do, the Phi Slama Jamma, the Clyde Drexler, Akeem Olajuwon teams that also weren't able to win a title. But the way he's developed that program in his image, they're tough, they're gritty, they're going to play defense. And this game, the national championship game, for 38 minutes, it felt like Houston was going to find a way to win, because even when Florida tied it, Houston would answer with a punch and punch back, and the game was entirely played on Houston's terms. But in the end, I think Houston's what's gotten them in the past is their inability to have long spurts in the tournament without scoring, and them getting into foul trouble where they lost that size. Florida's small lineup was much better than Houston's small lineup, which they were forced to because both of their big guys had 4 fouls with like 10 minutes to go, I think.
Something like that.
Because Tugler had 2 fouls, and I can't remember who else, but
within the first,
that's number 5.
Within the first 4 minutes, of the second half, Florida had 7 fouls, and Houston had 1, and then all of a sudden, 4 minutes of game time later, it's 7-7.
Yeah, like the refs completely just flipped the switch. That was the one thing I had negative about the game. It's just 2 completely different halves. And if you're going to call the second half that tight, call the first half better because there was hardly any fouls in the first half. Like it was just awful.
I'm not going to lie, guys. Watching that first half, that was one of my favorite halves of college basketball I've seen in a while because they let 2 teams who were big, strong, and physical get after it and play and compete for a national championship. The refs didn't make it about themselves. And the one no call I really liked was after the one Florida layup. I think it was number 9. When he went to turn around, there was a Houston player standing in front of him, and he ran him over. And Alec and everyone else at the house that were watching, they're screaming at the TV, that's got to be a foul on Florida. That's got to be a foul. And I'm like, I like the no call. He literally, this Houston player is standing.
He turned around.
He turned around. He didn't see him. Get out of the way. You saw the ball go through the bottom of the basket. Go back on offense. Don't stand there in front of him and try to get up a cheap foul. And then all of a sudden, these officials made the second half about them. And it was whistle this, whistle that. It's like, I'm with you, Ethan. Let the boys play. Let them be physical. If it's a championship game and it's leaning towards a football game, but it's physical and no one's complaining, let them play it out.
And it was never, and like I could understand where it was getting chippier if it was like, guys were there were maybe some cheap shots being thrown, but it was never
none of that.
Anything like it was 2 physical teams just duking it out, 2 heavyweights duking it out. Houston throws a punch, Florida throws a punch. There was never felt like it was going to be chippy or anything like that. I mean, there was it was Chinny Lou that got the technical where he got the emotion. The emotions got the better of him, but it was never
I
where
actually kind of thought
it was like out of control.
What was that, Ethan?
I actually kind of thought they'd be done at that point. I was kind of leaning that way.
Yeah, no,
but then they only got 3 out of it, so really just a normal possession.
And I will say they got that
5 out of that.
It's different. They got that technical call right. I will agree with the referee.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, yeah.
They got that. Yeah, they got that one right.
Yeah. But honestly, I know Clayton won like most valuable player of the Final Four. The only reason they were able to win that game was Richard kept him in it in the first half. I think he had like 11 in the first half. The amount of big threes he hit just to kind
14. He had half of them. He had half their points at.
Yeah, that's right. He had 14. Yeah, he was literally the only reason they were within even striking distance. And then Clayton finally got going with about maybe 8-9 minutes left, and that's really when that run started to come in. And even then, Clayton never really got fully going. It was just enough to kind of open the rest up.
When he got that first and 1 with 13 minutes left, I was like, oh, that's the bucket he needed. But even then, again, to Ethan, your point, after that, he went on that 5-minute stretch where he didn't do a whole lot. But
yeah,
that's why I never wavered or lost support in this Florida team throughout this game, because I knew there was going to become a point where Houston wouldn't be able to score, where they'd get tired. Yeah. You saw the foul trouble in the second half, and I was like, when Walter Clayton gets going and this Florida team does, they're going to go on a run. And then also them in return playing so many tight games in the tournament, being down by 10-plus points, they're going to be used to this. They're just like, oh, it's another Monday night. It's another tournament game. We have nothing to complain about. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, and I mean, Clayton, he only had the 11 points. But I can remember every single one of Clayton's basket. Every point that he scored in the second half was impactful. And he was still, because just the way that Houston defended him, where they were picking him up at a half court, and he never really had the opportunities to go and try and penetrate or drive and dish. He still had 6 assists in the first half. But he was, and his defense down the stretch was, I mean, they don't win it without the way he defended, especially that final play where it was, him coming up on Houston, where it caused Sharp to hesitate, and where it was going to be a travel and didn't touch it. And then even the big guy, I can't think of the guy's name, but
Condon?
Condon played terrible. I think in my notes I have get Condon off the floor. He's crapping in his helmet.
Yeah, first half he was awful.
He was Sam Darnold. He was seeing ghosts.
Second half, completely different player. Like fantastic in the second half.
And that just goes credit to Florida and their coaching staff, to the culture that they have down there in Gainesville. You know, like they said on the stage, on the podium, they turned this thing around in 3 years and won a championship.
Florida also a wild stat. Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
It's just the belief, and the trust that this team has in each other, and that, you know what, if our best player's down, that's okay. Someone's going to step up in the moment, and they're gonna make a play. They're going to keep us in this game. And even after Sharp, when he couldn't touch the ball and it would have been a travel, you know, there, Dylan, you know who won the loose ball to get the ball out to half court? Florida. Florida won that 50-50 ball there. Even if they don't get possession, guess what? Houston doesn't get an opportunity to pick it up and huck up a three, where you never know what happens
from
when that thing's
35 feet.
From 35 feet. But we've seen crazier things happen.
Oh, yeah.
But Florida won the loose ball, and they smack it past half court, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
And also it shows just how important your conditioning is, because Florida was the most in shape team in this tournament, and it showed. That's why they were able to compete for 40 minutes and never hit that lull while taking another team's best punch.
And
I still think their toughest game was probably the UConn game, honestly. I know they barely beat Houston, but they don't, like, obviously if they don't beat UConn, they don't make it. But even then, they don't probably have the confidence to do what they did the rest of the tournament either. They probably lose prior to that.
You throw in that Texas Tech game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being down by 10, I'd argue that was maybe the second best game that they had in this tournament.
Yep.
And back to the culture, Grant, too, you talked about Florida has. Florida's the first team to win a national title without a top 100 recruit.
There you go.
Saw that.
Yeah, so congrats to Florida.
You know what's funny? In return, this national championship is only going to put more pressure on Billy Napier and the Florida football team than they already needed.
Yeah. Yeah, it begs the question, is Florida a basketball school?
Florida has 3 national titles in the last 19 years.
Yeah, which we also have to give a shout out to one of our recurring guests. His wife is a huge Gators fan. So Hayden's wife is a Gators fan. So shout out to Peyton for on her Gators winning a national title. Well, Grant's got it. Never mind. But congrats, Peyton. Enjoy the title. Hopefully football season goes well for you, and continues their hot streak. And maybe you can have the upper hand in football over your husband in football. But nonetheless, we'll since we were talking about people from Georgia, there's a big event going on in Georgia that's starting tomorrow. Par 3 contest was today. The Masters starts tomorrow. Have you guys already downloaded your app, or is that still in the works?
So that sucker stays on year round.
Yeah. I never deleted it, but I had to. I must have a setting, my setting where it deletes, like if you don't use it for like 90 days or something. So I re-downloaded it this morning, and now it's ready to rock. Hopefully be able to watch some of it tomorrow, but it's weird. I hate that like busy day tomorrow, and it's the opening day of the Masters. It's like, why do my bosses hate me so much?
Yeah.
Because misery loves company.
Just because and I can't even blame Clint, because he's not even here this week. He's on vacation. So, I mean, he would probably agree with me that we could watch together, but he's not here. So we've got other stuff we got to get done. But I shouldn't complain too bad, because I do get to leave work at about like 3 tomorrow, because I'm doing play-by-play, which also, if you're in the Dickinson area, tune into Consolidated Channel 18 at about 3:30, because I'll be doing play-by-play for the the midget softball game versus Turtle Mountain. So tune in for that. But Masters is going on tomorrow, boys. Favorite time of the year, especially that Saturday afternoon on moving day. You're going to take a little bit of a nap and then wake up. And then Sunday, hopefully we're going to get an exciting finish, which I'm trying to think back of when was the last time. Was it 2019, the last time where it was a really down to the wire, exciting finish for the Masters? And even then, you can't even consider it super exciting. It was just really, really exciting because Tiger was the one that was leading it.
No.
I think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think, ever since then they've been fairly uncompetitive and coming, Sunday down the last home stretch, we're like, well, we know who the winner's going to be.
Yeah. But let's go. Let's have some fun here. Is we're each going to pick 5 guys that we think can win the Masters here. So, 4 of them can be guys, or 4 are like you could consider favorites. And then the last one we do is we pick one underdog or somebody that people are maybe sleeping on. So I'll get it started here. I'm gonna go with the lefty Phil Mickelson. He hasn't played great since he's gone to LIV, but if you look at his last few results on the LIV Tour, he's actually been playing pretty well. He's got 3 Masters, looking to add a 4th. I think Phil has a chance to be in contention here.
I don't like Phil as a person, but sure.
You know what? we might not. We don't have to like him as a person, but we just like him as a golfer.
Nope.
And that's okay.
Grant, you want to go? You want me to go?
I'll go. I guess you could say my long shot here is these last couple of years.
No, last one.
Long shot's the last one. You save him
Oh
for the
shit,
end.
long shot. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Well, I'm gonna go with Bryson DeChambeau. What last year's U.S. Open champ. And also, it's the heart of baseball season. Chicks dig the long ball. I want to see some moonshots off the tee box. And I just love Bryson's personality. Is what?
He did say this course a few years ago that it was a par 67.
Yeah. So, and I just love the way I just love his attitude and how he plays on the golf course. He's maybe a little more edgy, but if you ask me, that's what golf needs. They need a little boost, a little serotonin. So give me Bryson DeChambeau.
I'm going with the first European, Shane Lowry. Been playing fantastic. He's came close a couple times. Yeah, we're going Shane.
Shane, all right. I'm gonna go with the guy, piggybacking off a guy that's been close a few times. Guy that he's won the PGA and the US Open multiple times, but has yet to win a Masters. Been in contention. I'm gonna go with our guy Brooks Koepka. He's been in that final pairing like 3 of the last 4 years. Had chances, just couldn't quite get over that hump. This is a year that I think Brooks could finally get over that hump. He's been close so many times. One of these years, you got to think he's going to find a way to break through.
Dylan, I'm going to piggyback off you. I'm also going to say Brooks, just because was it 2 years ago he had the epic collapse on Sunday, where he was right there, and then all of a sudden he just shit his pants and everything was over.
Against Rahm.
I think he's due, and again, I kind of like Brooks. He's not your traditional golfer. He's got a little edge to him. He brings a little more fun. Extremely hot wife. And also, you know what? He's still on the high last year, the Florida Panthers winning the Stanley Cup. So he's going to do it for South Florida. Florida is going to continue to dominate the sports world in this last week. And Koepka got a shot to win this thing.
Just seems like a good guy you want to hang out with, too.
I'm going to go with the easy one. Probably the heavy favorite, honestly, if I'm looking at a betting line. Scotty Scheffler. Coming back from his cut finger or thumb, whatever it was, starting to play better again. And honestly, when he's on, easily best player in the world.
And yeah, I'll just piggyback off that, Ethan. Yeah, I have Scotty in there as well. He's just got that perfect poise, and when you think of Masters, you start to think of Scotty Scheffler as just a guy, a mainstay there. You think of what the Masters represents. That Scotty Scheffler is like the portrait of that. Just a good guy, likable. Be cool to see him win 3 and 4 years.
My next guy, he's going to snap a drought of, I want to say 11 plus years without winning a major. And I'm going to go Rory.
It's a good one.
Rory finally gets off the schneid, gets his Masters, and he's, would this be the career Grand Slam? I think it would.
It would be, yep.
Yep, he could complete the career Grand Slam. Then he'll go down as one of the greatest golfers of all time. Once you can finish that, he finally gets his Masters. Hopefully he doesn't choke out on Sunday like he seems to be doing in every major tournament over these last 10 years. And I honestly, I think he's due. So give me Rory.
Yeah, another guy that's due. I mean, you look at the way he choked away the U.S. Open last year, just where he completely fell apart. You got to think that's been sitting in the back of his mind with an opportunity to redeem himself.
I'm taking a little bit of this isn't. I have a better wild card, but Victor Hovland.
I missed the cut. Him down.
Missed the cut 3 of the last 4 times he's been out, but 2 weeks ago he won the Valspar. So his putting was fantastic. I think he was I don't even know how to read this stat. I was just looking at it, but basically he gained almost 2 strokes from putting over the course of the week, which is not easy to do. So, yeah, I think Victor has a pretty solid shot if he can continue the putting.
Which also you got to think too is like the way those greens are at Augusta. Putting is such a huge thing, and if you aren't dialed in on the green, you have 0 shot to win.
Yep.
But my next one is going to be Xander Schauffele. Now he's had a couple of top 10 finishes here at the Masters. He took second in 2019 when Tiger won it. He won the PGA Championship and the Open Championship last year. Was also, I believe he was in the Olympics on the Team USA for the Olympics last year. He's been in contention. Another guy that you just feel like is going to break through at some point.
My last one, we're going to finish the hat trick for all of us, but it's Scotty. Like we guys said, he's the best in the world. He's dialed in. And also, we're due for a repeat. Kansas City couldn't do it this year. UConn men couldn't do it this year. South Carolina women couldn't do it for their tournament. We're due for a repeat, and I think Scotty's that guy.
Scotty's that guy. Ooh.
Also, that dinner he had the Masters dinner, his menu was absolutely glorious. There are no flaws in that menu. And, he's going to go out and put his dick on the table and say, I'm the best and win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He will.
I'm going to go Bryson too. Dude's a stud. He hits at 6,000 yards. Can actually do other stuff than drive now, which is really impressive. Obviously, he's been doing a lot better the last couple of years. So give me Bryson.
All-time YouTube channel too. I enjoy checking out his YouTube videos of his different challenges he has, where swinging golf clubs from Temu, whatnot. But now we got it is our underdog, correct? Are we on our underdog?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. My underdog. He was on Pardon My Take today, being interviewed with PFT, Big Cat, and the guys. I'm gonna go with Max Homa. Now, his practice round on Tuesday shot -7 on the front 9. He has not been playing very well either as of late. Has had missed quite a few cuts, so he's having a rough go. I can't think of a better time or better opportunity than to turn your golf game around, get your confidence back on track, than showing out at the Masters. Also looking for his first ever major win.
Probably, yeah.
So my wild card or surprise guy, I believe was it 50-1 odds to win? I'm gonna go Cameron Smith.
The Australian.
The Australian. We're going down
good
under.
luck. Yeah.
I hadn't done a whole lot of research. I think I want to say it was last year. Was it a great Saturday where he came back and was looking to be in contention, kind of fell apart on Sunday. And I've always liked watching Cameron's game for whatever it is. That Aussie always has me. It's a great mullet.
You just love the mustache. Yeah.
I do love the mustache too.
It's the mullet and the mustache.
It's the mullet and the mustache. I mean, can you blame
likes
guy?
Maurer and Morneau. Grant likes Cam Smith's mullet and mustache.
And it was just you know what? It'd be kind of cool if he could come in and get that first win. There in Augusta. Hadn't been playing the best since he's gone to live, so he can redeem himself a little bit. So give me Cameron Smith.
I'm taking a shot on this one because I don't think anyone has ever won the Masters after missing the cut the week prior. But Ludwig Oberg, really young.
I thought about
he's
putting him there
stud.
too.
He is a stud when he plays well. I think he's one that could bounce back mentally and really just take on the course and run away with it.
Took second last year.
Yep.
So now, do we put
the Red Raider?
Do we put our money where our mouth is and actually pick a winner?
Yeah, why not? Let's do
for
it
the people.
Why the hell not?
So I do gotta say one thing before we pick our winners here. But Ludwig Oberg, Texas Tech alum, looking to do something that Pat Mahomes couldn't do and finish a title out.
It's fair.
But winners here. Let's go. You know what? Why not? My first choice of picking winners, or second choice actually, I should say. Give me Brooks. Brooks breaks through finally. I think this is the year he finally does it. And you know what? He's probably going to give his first child a sibling if he does.
And I'm going to go with my first pick that I said. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Chicks dig the long ball. Bryson DeChambeau. He's fixed his game from 125 yards in. Was evident last year at the U.S. Open, and he's going to come into Augusta. He's going to play hot, and I'm thinking he's going to have a couple monster drives on the back nine, where we just sit back and we're like, "How did he do that?" And he's going to put on that green jacket for the first time.
I'm going with my wild card. I'm going with the guy who got second. He figured it out. He's going to come back. He's going to win it this year. Ludwig Oberg.
All right, we got the Red Raider, a Seminole, and a Mustang. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hey, look at me knowing my golfers' colleges here.
Well, there you go.
So we got Brooks, Auberg, and Bryson DeChambeau. So we're gonna see what's happening. Hopefully, we get an exciting finish that comes down to the wire. Maybe a playoff. We haven't had a playoff in how long?
Couldn't tell you, dude.
I don't know when.
Bubba Watson, I know, won in a playoff. No, because 19 wasn't a playoff.
No, he won on 18. Now, do we get? Is it a 4-hole playoff, a 3-hole playoff? What's Augusta?
3-hole. I think it's a 3-hole playoff.
16, 17, 18?
I believe that is correct, yes.
Okay.
So, going to be interesting. We'll see what happens here. And we'll wrap up the show with a curveball of the week. I have it this week. I think last time I did the what your McDonald's, if the McDonald's came to you and wanted to name a meal after you, what it would be. I want to know what we'll stay in that realm. And hey, the Twins finally got a win, 4-0 over the Royals.
4-0.
Woo! Yeah. About time. And I want to know what the Chipotle order is for everybody.
Okay.
Oh.
So you do brown rice, obviously. Pinto beans.
Are you getting a bowl of burrito, Ethan?
Bowl for sure. Bowl.
Fair.
So you do brown rice, pinto beans, queso, shredded cheese, lettuce. They don't have the pickled onion. That's Qdoba, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so good. But You do the corn salsa, obviously, the hot salsa, and then that's what I do, I think. Yeah, and chicken. I forgot the meat. Chicken usually.
Dylan, I know you live out of town, and unfortunately there was no Chipotle in Dickinson. But Ethan, in the last month since they've had the Chipotle honey chicken, have you had that or not yet?
No, I've not.
I would strongly recommend. I think it's good. Yeah, it's something. It's one of their new limited ones they came out with. I think they want to see if it hits and it can stay. I would recommend.
I've seen the commercials and it looks good.
It's good. It's good. I like it a lot.
Their like limited time options have looked like they'd be pretty tasty with the brisket.
Pretty good.
Did they have birria at one point too?
They had a pollo asada.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I think it was
the carne asada. That's what it was.
That's what it was. That's what it was. So I'll go. Naturally, we're starting out. We're getting a bowl. Protein. I've gone between three things here recently, gentlemen. The Chipotle, a honey Chipotle chicken, steak, and then the barbacoa. But I gotta say, for the sake of this to be different, I've talked about the honey Chipotle. We're gonna go double barbacoa because I'm a big boy. I'm a grown boy.
What is barbacoa, by the way?
It's shredded beef.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's shredded beef, Dylan. It's pretty good. Double white rice. I'd have to say I'm going to lean pinto beans.
Yeah,
we're getting extra pinto beans, the pico, corn salsa, green salsa, cheese, sour cream, extra fajitas. And then if I'm feeling real frasky and I'm hungry and I maybe got some points, I'll get a side of chips and guac. Or I'll skip that in general. But yeah, that's the meal right there.
That's a good one. I also think though, like I have to get bowls because there's not enough tortilla to wrap everything in just one tortilla. And I don't know if the employees there are getting worse or the tortillas have gotten smaller where it's more difficult to wrap it in just one.
I think the employees are getting worse.
Okay. That's kind of what I'm thinking too, but I don't want to dump on them because they handle our food, and who knows, maybe a Chipotle employee is watching this and be like, "Oh, if this guy comes in, I'm messing with this. I'm giving him food poisoning."
I will say this: if a Chipotle employee is watching, shout out to the Golden Valley Chipotle on Highway 55 in Minnesota.
Oh, there it is.
I love them because my God, boys, do they have a heavy hand?
Mm-hmm.
Just by listening to your rundown of what you're getting, that is a heavy hand. But for me, I'm going with the brown rice. I'm going with double steak, fajitas, the corn salsa, of course, corn salsa, pico, shredded cheese, sour cream, and guac, and then the hot salsa as well.
There you go.
And then I'm doing the usually, and I don't know why, because their queso was not good, but every time I go there, which isn't often, I always end up getting their queso thinking it's going to be like the Qdoba queso, but it's not. And I get it, but I more so do it just so I can get the chips, so I can dip my chips in the
bowl.
In the bowl, exactly. Oh, and I forgot. You guys were both talking about the beans. I like to mix things up here. I like to go half pinto, half black beans.
Ooh,
not bad.
So that's my Chipotle order, but I don't get it very often because the closest one's 4 hours away on both sides of me. So that wraps it up. Apparently, my battery is about to die.
Bismarck's got to get one so you can get one before you go to the airport.
They do, or after.
Or on the way home, yeah.
But that doesn't appear to be in the cards anytime soon. But it also appears that this show is going to be wrapping up. We'll be back next week with a Masters recap. Then after that, it's going to be NFL draft time. We're going to be doing our mock drafts. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But thank you guys for tuning in. You can check us out on all those social medias, 3 Guys Talking Ball podcast. Like, rate, subscribe, review. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Have a good week.